Greetings. We are dragons, one of the civilizations of the galaxy, and in this message we want to talk about our past and present. Perhaps someone has already heard about us. Of course, we have a connection with human civilization, and some of us can directly affect your social processes, but we will talk about this in the next message. And now we want to tell about the history of our distant past, from which our modern role in the galaxy and on Earth will just become clear. Our story began from time immemorial. From the very beginning of the universe. You may have already heard that the one creator launched the development of the universe in many parallel directions, and for each individual development option, he allocated a separate space. There are an infinite number of such spaces in the universe. We can say that the universe consists of an infinite number of cells, each of which represents a full-fledged version of the development of the overall picture. Each such separate cell is called a matrix, and the universe itself is, as it were, a matrix consisting of many matrices. His attention examines the big picture, but not the private details that just lead to such surprises. On the other hand, the creators of the matrices also cannot help the creator in understanding these complex relationships, because the attention of each of them is absorbed by what is happening only within the framework of one matrix. Therefore, at some point, the creator realized that he alone could not cope with the understanding of the general picture. He needed assistants who could, being in different parts of the universe, transmit him detailed information about what was happening. To fulfill this important role, he invited us to the universe. Our task is to observe the general picture, wandering around the universe. In this regard, we, the beings fulfilling this mission, are also called wanderers or observers. Dragons are called only those of us who are present directly in your galaxy. Together we are a single civilization that exists throughout the universe, and each of our representatives is not associated with any particular matrix, universe or galaxy. We can freely move around the vastness of the universe, and we can decide for ourselves where and when to attend. If you ask what level of consciousness we belong to, we will not give you an answer, because the level of consciousness or development is rather a position or role in the overall picture that an entity takes. For example, the co-creators have a 9th level of consciousness. Since this is their role in the universe, your consciousness is now on the 3rd level, but not because you are less capable or less developed than the co-creators, but only because you are now playing a role that is interesting to you and your higher self. Moreover, we know that most of you in the past were first co-creators, archangels, teachers, representatives of the spiritually developed civilizations of the galaxy. Each of you, before incarnating on Earth, first visited almost every step of the cosmic hierarchy, gradually going down. This is how the materialization of any creature in your world happens. According to universal laws, you have successively passed all the levels of the universe, starting from the highest, and only then incarnated on Earth. Moreover, at each of the higher levels you left a part of your consciousness and still have a connection with them. Therefore, each of you is not only a person, but also a co-creator, archangel or teacher, and at the same time everyone you were in the past. Of course, it's hard for you to believe, because, being in your 3-dimensional reality, you do not see all the interconnections between the parts of your consciousness. But we are where we can observe your consciousness as a whole in its unity and continuity, and we can clearly see how surprisingly and paradoxically the parts of your consciousness connect and support each other. For example, one person, being on Earth, may not even realize that part of his consciousness in another world is a teacher, supporting whole civilizations in this development. Another person, being present with his own consciousness in other matrices, creates entire universes there. And the echoes of these large-scale events, perhaps, reach him only in dreams, or in dreams in which he sees amazing pictures of creation. Parts of the consciousness of each of you are present in many parallel worlds in which numerous civilizations of your and other galaxies live. You are subconsciously connected with these worlds with your interests. For example, a person who is fond of technology, most likely, you can find a close part of his consciousness located on Orion or another similar civilization. Each of you has a connection with the Pleiades, which is expressed in the sincerity and openness of each person. And this connection takes place directly through your consciousness, because there, in the Pleiades civilization, a very close being is embodied for you, which once was inseparably connected with you. Perhaps for some time you even existed together at the Pleiades as a single consciousness, but then you split up, because you had to go further, to Earth. Thus, The consciousness of each of you is uniquely and uniquely distributed across a multitude of matrices, universes and galaxies. We do not get tired of wondering at the uniqueness and beauty of that drawing that draws the lines of the interconnections of your consciousness in the spaces of the universe. It is this amazing map of your incarnations that creates the individuality of each of you. It, one way or another, determines who you are on Earth, your character, preferences and opportunities. We do not cease to admire the diversity of your incarnations, which creates the richness and originality of the experience that each of you receives. And the observation of this general picture is of the highest interest for us wanderers. But this is possible precisely because we ourselves remain practically indivisible, and with our single consciousness are present in the intermediate space between the worlds. We do not have such a wide variety of incarnations that you have, and we do not get direct experience in these worlds, and even a little envy all of you. On the other hand, called upon to observe, we have enormous freedom. We can shift our attention to any of the worlds of the universe and examine it in the smallest details and details. We can see your reality as colorful and clear as you people, or observe any phenomena in your world at the energy level. We can look at your world from the point of view of any person or any other creature. We are provided with unlimited amounts of information that we can perceive exactly as we wish. After all, we need this in order to analyze some kind of reality, to find in it the necessary relationships or inconsistencies. We can so clearly observe any kind of reality that sometimes it seems to us that we ourselves are embodied in it, and the only thing that we cannot in all the worlds in which we are present is to act. But we can, collecting the information we need, analyze and draw conclusions, make forecasts of further events. This is very similar to the activities of scientists and analysts in your world, only in this case we are engaged in this analysis on a global scale. How can we be imagined? On the other hand, called upon to observe, we have enormous freedom. We can shift our attention to any of the worlds of the universe and examine it in the smallest details and details. We can see your reality as colorful and clear as you people, or observe any phenomena in your world at the energy level. We can look at your world from the point of view of any person or any other creature. We are provided with unlimited amounts of information that we can perceive exactly as we wish. After all, we need this in order to analyze some kind of reality, to find in it the necessary relationships or inconsistencies. We can so clearly observe any kind of reality that sometimes it seems to us that we ourselves are embodied in it, and the only thing that we cannot in all the worlds in which we are present is to act. But we can, collecting the information we need, analyze and draw conclusions, make forecasts of further events. This is very similar to the activities of scientists and analysts in your world, only in this case we are engaged in this analysis on a global scale. How can we be imagined? Each of us represents a limitless energy field, present everywhere and everywhere. This field can be evenly distributed throughout the universe, and in this case we observe the big picture with our attention. But if we want, we can concentrate our field on the scale of several matrices, or, say, within only one galaxy, and then our attention is placed there. We can even collect our attention at the smallest point, for example, on a separate atom or elementary particle. At the same time, our energy field is also concentrated in it. But most of this field still remains evenly distributed throughout the universe, because we always need to see the big picture. We can only thicken our field in some place, increasing the intensity of its energy in this area or point, and thereby obtain the information we need. Clotting our field to the level of one object in your world, for example, an atom or your physical body, we can influence it with our energy. But our field exists at very subtle frequencies, and therefore we cannot directly influence the physical processes in your world. And even if we concentrate all our energy at the level of your body, we will not change a single path of the electrons in it, and therefore you will not feel our presence physically. However, any energy is capable of making a difference. After all, scientists on Earth have long established that an experimenter studying a physical process taking place at a quantum level makes changes to it by observation. We exist on a more subtle level than the quantum level of your reality, which means that we can well influence it. What is this level, and what changes is our energy directed to? The level at which our energy is present can be described as the subtlest level of the information field of the entire universe. It can be said that this is his mental plan. This is a single space that permeates all levels of the universe. It is directly connected with the level of the Creator, and with the levels of creators and co-creators, archangels and teachers. Through it one can reach the collective consciousness of any civilization, and the subtle levels of consciousness of an individual being. On the one hand, it is intermediate for all other levels. On the other hand, it is comprehensive and exists everywhere. At this level, there is a single consciousness of each of you and any other spiritual essence, and our consciousness exists on it. If we compare all of us at this level, we can easily see that we are all very similar. After all, we are all conscious, but at the same time we have slightly different qualities. For example, the consciousness of the higher spiritual entities is very homogeneous. The creator consciousness is evenly distributed throughout this field. The creator's consciousness is concentrated in one of the matrices. Your consciousness, as we have said, creates a very colorful picture in different parts of this field. Our consciousness is not fixed, and therefore the picture that we draw with our consciousness can freely change. It is at this subtle information level, in the first place, that all the relationships between the matrices are manifested. We can say that all the space consists entirely of thin strings showing these relationships. These connections are the thinnest and most comprehensive matrix, uniting all the others. And we, being our energy at this level, can influence these relationships, weaken them or strengthen them. Our main task is to maintain a delicate resonance between the matrices, their coordinated joint work. Such opportunities to make changes to this very basic level are transferred to us by the Creator himself, and, of course, this is a great responsibility. Nevertheless, all adjustments, as a rule, we carry out only with his permission. After all, any change made at this level is reflected in all the realities of the universe. As we said at the beginning, our task is to identify inconsistencies, idle links in the overall picture, which for some reason distort the original plan of the Creator. And it happens that this inconsistency becomes the smallest detail in a particular world. It can be a single atom or a physical process. In such cases, if necessary, we, concentrating our field at a given point, can change the structure of this process at the most basic level, straightening its course. Further, these changes over time manifest themselves in the physical reality on which this inconsistency exists, but also in all other realities of the universe. Thus, with our energy we can influence specific physical processes in your reality, but only if necessary and with the consent of the Creator himself. These changes themselves do not occur instantaneously, but only over time, because at first they occur at a subtle level, and gradually their echoes reach three-dimensional reality. Why are we considered a separate galactic civilization, which is of great importance in the galaxy and on Earth? Precisely because your galaxy plays a significant role in your universe, and your planet occupies a key position in the galaxy. Your galaxy has many relationships with all processes in the universe. There are much more of them than in the case of other galaxies. Moreover, your Earth is a central point uniting all these connections. If we imagine the information field of the universe as a web of subtle connections, then the Milky Way galaxy is a central part of the web, from which the strings diverge in all possible directions. The Earth itself is characterized by the most dense intricacy of these connections, the ends of which go to almost all other universes and matrices. Therefore, our attention is so often present precisely in your galaxy, because the coherence of all the processes of the universe largely depends on how well they go here. Therefore, we are often actors in the arena of galactic events, but act quietly, at the most subtle level. Moreover, our role is so significant that the Wanderers are direct members of the Galactic Council that governs your galaxy. We were pleased to convey this message telling you about our role in the universe. In the next message, we will tell our story of the presence in the galaxy of the Milky Way and on Earth. And, of course, we will explain why in your world we are called Dragon. As you know, to manage the matrices, the one Creator invited wise spiritual beings to the universe, each of which took responsibility for the development of one of them. They begin to be called the creators of the matrices, because they created an impulse for everything that happens inside the spaces entrusted to them. From this moment, events in the universe began to occur rapidly, because many parallel processes were launched simultaneously in different matrices. Despite the fact that each matrix is a separate structure, it is inextricably linked with many others. What happens in any one matrix affects events in the entire infinite number of others, and what happens in all affects each individually. It is worth noting that the relationships between the matrices are often very complex and unpredictable. The universe can be compared with a complex mechanism consisting of countless gears. Sometimes the events occurring in different matrices seem to add up, the rotation energy of their gears is combined, and then in the universe there is a rapid chain reaction, accelerating some result millions of times. Usually such accelerations are very timely and useful, as they are planned by the one creator. But it also happens that such accelerations arise as a result of the random interaction of many matrices and unexpectedly appear in the overall picture. It happens, and vice versa, that in such a long chain of relationships between the matrices, one single link fails. For example, if the necessary events in a separate matrix are not ready to occur, or they occur extremely slowly, then one of the gears seems to jam and therefore blocks the operation of the entire mechanism. On the scale of the universe, this leads to the fact that some important and global process, expected by all, does not happen. This is similar to a breakdown, which is also difficult to predict if you do not see all the details of what is happening. Even the one creator can be difficult to predict and see these unplanned changes in time. After all, the matrices in the universe are an infinite number, and the creator's task is to maintain a general plan for their development.